Okay, today I'm going to show you my Hammer collection and my Amicus collection. Now this box set, it's a great box set, was signed by Valerie Leon and Caroline Munro, and there's about 25 films in there I think. I'll just name them all now. There's The Reptile, The Witches, 1 Million Years BC, I'm not too keen on the caveman ones to be honest. The Viking Queen, Frankenstein Created Woman, probably the best Frankenstein sequel I reckon. She, The Nanny, very underrated. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, the third in the Dracula franchise. Plague of the Zombies, great underrated zombie from that. Rasputin the Mad Monk, in my opinion, Christopher Lee's best performance. The Horror Frankenstein, really bad remake that was, of Curse of Frankenstein, is pretty bad. Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, starring Valerie Leon, beauty of a film. Straight On to Morning, Fear in the Night, Demons of the Mind, To the Devil a Daughter, Dennis Wheatley one they did, which was great. Quartermaster and the Pit, The Vengeance of She, which is a sequel to She. Prehistoric Women, not too keen on that one, and Scars of Dracula. Okay, moving on. We have the Hammer House of Horror TV series, anthology-based film. Basically, each episode was a different story. To be honest, it's a bit hit and miss. I think it's more miss than hit, but there's a good episode with Peter Cushing, and I pretty like that. This is the Spanish cover for the Quartermass trilogy. I've got all three of them in there, which is great. Hound of the Baskervilles, great film. The Gorgon, very underrated. Medusa's in that. It's pretty damn cool. Well, Medusa type character anyway. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing, The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas, great film. Now this is the American cover of Dracula. Moving on to the Dracula segment now. Horror of Dracula, but it's actually Dracula here in the UK. Probably the greatest Dracula film ever made, if you ask me. It's absolutely fantastic. Its sequel, The Brides of Dracula, Peter Cushing came back as Van Helsing, Christopher Lee didn't appear as Dracula. Now this is probably the best vampire film Hammer made. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Okay, the third one is actually Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which is in there. The fourth one is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, great 70s poster there, pretty damn cool. Next is Taste the Blood of Dracula, another cool poster there. Drink a pint of blood a day, the tagline, pretty witty. Okay, next up is Scars of Dracula, in there. Dracula AD 1972. A lot of people hate this one. Now, it's a bit weird to see Dracula in the 70s setting, but I like it. I think it's a good film, and it's a shame Caroline Munro got killed off pretty quickly. I would love to have seen her come back as a vampire. The Satanic Rites of Dracula. Public domain, this one. You could copy this and sell it on eBay, and you couldn't get sued for it. It's public domain. You can sell it, but this is the weakest of the Dracula franchise anyway. Next up is another Dracula, Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Peter Cushing turns up as Van Helsing. Christopher Lee's not in it. This sunk the Hammer horrors, to be honest, at the box office. Ooh, it's still sealed. Didn't know that. Okay, The Queen of Hammer, Ingrid Pitt in Countess Dracula. Great tale about Elizabeth Bathory. Another vampire one here, Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. Now, a lot of people tell me Van Helsing is a loose remake of it, which is pretty interesting. The only difference is, this is good. Van Helsing is fucking shit. Now on to the Karnstein or Carmilla trilogy. We have The Vampire Lovers, one of the first Hammers I ever watched. Thank you, Dad. Get me into them. Twins of Evil, this is the best one. Peter Cushing's in this one. He was in Vampire Lovers. In this he plays a different character. That is the best of the Karnstein trilogy. And then there's Lust for a Vampire. And on the other side we have an Amicus film called Torture Garden, which is pretty cool. Okay, on to the Frankenstein series now. Curse of Frankenstein, the first Hammer I ever watched. Thank you, Dad, for getting me into them, like I said. Sequel, Revenge of Frankenstein. Third installment, The Evil Frankenstein. Now, Universal was behind this. They had the rights, as you can see, to use the square head, but it looks like a badly paper-mache'd head. Okay, next up is Frankenstein Created Woman, which is in there. Terence Fisher directed that one, and I think it's the best sequel. As a matter of fact, I think the Frankenstein series is actually better than the Dracula series. Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. Awesome, awesome poster that is. Awesome cover. Frankenstein the Monster from Hell. That's the last one Peter Cushing did. Now, in between this was Horror of Frankenstein, which was the remake, and that's in there. Shit film. But this one's good. On to the Mummy Saga now. Great cover. This is a box cover. This is a Region 1 copy, because I couldn't find any in the UK. That's great. Cushing and Lee are in that. Next up, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. The Mummy's Shroud. And Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, which is in there. Okay, Curse the Werewolf. Now, why didn't they do a werewolf franchise? I thought this was great. I think they should have done more werewolf movies. It would have been cool. These aren't hammers. Legend of the Werewolf starring Peter Cushing. It's either Tyburn or Amicus, I can't remember. And Doctor Who and the Daleks, Cushing. Hands of the Ripper, not the TV version, that's the movie version. Kiss of the Vampire, quite a good film that. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, I love this movie. I just love the fact that Dr. Jekyll was actually more evil than Sister Hyde. It's a good twist on the tale as well, because he becomes a suspect as being Jack the Ripper, which is pretty interesting. Next up, got this film festival, Four-Sided Triangle, have not watched it yet. Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, that's great. And Spot Oliver Reed in a cameo role, or in a little role rather. Another Jekyll and Hyde type tale, I Monster, really good. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. Okay, this I have to thank John Gibbon for this. Thank you, John. Blood Beast Terror, which is, Cushing said, his worst movie. I think it's not that bad. Night of the Big Heat, Phantom of the Opera, Corridors of Blood, not a hammer. Lady Vanishes, hammer. Haunted Palace, not a hammer, starring Vincent Price. The Anniversary, that's a hammer. X the Unknown, hammer. Sword of Sherwood Forest, which is the Robin Hood film made by Hammer. Now this is brilliant. This is the Fu Manchu trilogy, and I thank John Gibbon for this. The Face of Fu Manchu, The Brides of Fu Manchu, The Vengeance of Fu Manchu, Christopher Lee. The Creeping Flesh, absolutely awesome. Count Dracula, Jess Franco version, that's not Hammer. Here we have Never Take Sweets from a Stranger, and Fiend Without a Face, which isn't Hammer. Now this isn't Hammer, but it belongs in this section. The original Wicker Man. Very bizarre and surreal film. Is it a musical, mystery, horror? Who knows? It's fantastic. At the Earth's Core, Caroline Munro, Peter Cushing. Interestingly enough, Caroline Munro starred alongside Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing in her career. Good for her. Horror Express, great film. Bloodsuckers, Peter Cushing, that's pretty cool. Right, on to the Amicus now. Here we have Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror, two great anthology movies. Tales from the Crypt probably being Amicus' greatest film. Vault of Horror, now I'm looking for a cut here, a certain cut, because some of the scenes are cut when the violence comes in. For example, when Terry Thomas gets a hammer to the head, it's just a still of him being hit with a hammer. You don't actually see him being hit, and you don't see any blood coming out. It's pathetic. So I would love, if anyone out there's got the full cut of Vault Horror, please let me know. I'll pay you for it. Another anthology from Amicus, From Beyond the Grave, great film. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, huge fun. House of Drip Blood, my second favourite anthology film from Amicus. The Uncanny, thank you to my niece Alex for this one, she bought me that on my birthday. The Beast Must Die, a werewolf film by Amicus, pretty cool. Another Amicus, Asylum, and Now the Screaming Starts. Funnily enough, I have that on video, but now I can get rid of the video now that I've got it on DVD. Thank you, John Gibbon, for these. You are a star, mate. Here we have more John Gibbon horrors, thank you. House of the Long Shadows, starring Price, Cushing, Lee, and Carradine. Nothing But the Night, Castle of Terror, Tender Dracula, The Whip and the Body, a bit random that. The Mad Ghoul, which is great. Scream of Fear, Mystery on Monster Island. And here, interesting enough, this is I got this at a film festival. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's got Carnival of Crime on it, The Hearse, Fleshburn, Land of the Minotaur, Horror High, The Babysitter, The Teacher, Lurkers, The Creeping Terror, The Crazy Lake Monster, Escape from Hell Island. And that's it. That is my Hammer and Amicus. Now, I haven't got them all. Ooh, hang on. Forgot about this one. Vampire Circus on Blu-ray. Woo! Great film. And that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry it wasn't that entertaining. And it's Hammer time.